Man, so what y'all think about this? What y'all think about this Puff Daddy situation? As far as I'm concerned, you know, Puff Daddy created, he produced and rapped on an album back in 1997 called No Way Out, Puff Daddy and the Family. That was the first hip hop record that I bought. I was 10 years old. I remember that. And I had it on cassette tape and I bumped that non-stop. But I was very disappointed in the Forever album that came after that. You know, so Puff wasn't going to be one of my go-to artists. But that era of Puff Daddy, that album, fly. Super fly. Incredible. But, you know, if I seen Puff Daddy walking down the street right now, you know, it wouldn't move me. I wouldn't go out of my way to say hey to him. A lot of y'all are starstruck. I'm sure y'all would go and be like, yo, Puff. I'm not going to go speak to him out of respect. Out of respect for the simple fact that I've been saying fuck Puff for about 10 years now. So it wouldn't make sense for me to go walk up to him and say, yo, I'm a fan. I'm really not, you know, but I think he's incredible with remixes and samples. Remixes and samples, I think he's a 10 out of 10 on that. He definitely makes great music. Or he used to make great music. That Love album he came out with in 2023, he could have left that in the studio, personally. Because what was it? Personally, that album was bullshit. Because he took a lot of singers and put them in the album. Then he had Lil Rod doing a lot of production on the album. He didn't really appear on the album, but maybe on like 5 songs. And the rest of it is R&B. And it's like, why? You know, it felt more like a personal project than it was to make money. Because I didn't see how this was going to make money. The vibe was off. Nobody was really listening to that type of music. But, you know, I want to touch on two YouTubers. For one, y'all need to go subscribe to Carcino for Life. And go watch his videos about the history of hip-hop beefs. He got a lot of videos on that. And honestly, he sounds like he's the most accurate. As far as, you know, YouTubers who just give, you know, who just give commentary on certain artists and their situations. His seemed the most authentic. A lot of the stuff, if not most of what he said, you can actually go and research it yourself and find it. And a lot of what he said, the artist ended up coming out saying was true. So there's Carcino for Life, who I think you should check out. And then there's Tisa Tales. I remember I seen a video of her talking crazy, speaking all fast, and she had aluminum foil in her head talking about conspiracies. And she didn't really give no facts on it. She just spoke, said what was on her mind, as opposed to saying what was on black and white. She got a problem with personalizing everything. But the worst part of her commentary is she's lying. She is lying, and a lot of y'all is really standing behind like that sensationalist bullshit as opposed to really looking at facts. You're not fact-based enough. You're more opinion-based. So everybody's running around off of opinion with no logic. They just thinking stuff. Like somebody said, Puff Daddy frauded Cassie because he signed her to a 10-album deal and she only did one. The only thing wrong with that statement is he was the one that made the deal. He reserved the right to fund her studio time anytime he wanted to. And honestly, it would have been fraud if he made more albums with Cassie. Because let's keep it real, she was just there to hobnob. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't there to as a musical inspiration. She can't even leave that note that she sings in. It doesn't go anywhere else. It's a monotone note that just sounds good enough, but there's no range. There's no range. So you got to do a lot of theatrics to promote, and you got to use a lot of hip-hop samples. And that might get her somewhere when it didn't. If Puff Daddy is guilty of racketeering, then every woman that helped him find women, every bodyguard that stood by and said nothing, should go to jail too. And I think Gene Deal knows that. Yeah, I think he knows that for the past 4 years he's been blabbing and running his fucking mouth. But you're saying it now instead of when we needed it to be said. If Puff was such a sick individual, it seems to me like you would have distanced yourself from it unless that money was so good you decided to be sick with him. You know, shout out to E40, but you wasn't sick with it. You was just sick with Puff. Delusional, so to speak. Because now you got a problem when you ain't making money off of them. But when you was making money, where was the Gene Deal comment? Unless he had you on contract. You know. You ain't say, if you didn't feel that it was a bad thing back in 2009, 2008, if you didn't feel like it was a bad thing in 96, don't 2025 start saying you want a virtue signal and call this man out for all his atrocities, but you don't want to go to court and speak on it. What's the difference? You went to Vlad and talked about him. You told everybody. You told everybody everything about Puff, and then this investigation started, and you started to backtrack. For you, for Jaguar Wright, you guys' elbow is in too deep. You're up to your fingertips in this feces now. It's no way out. Like Puff said, it's no way out now. You either gonna stand on what you're saying about this man and testify against him, or you're gonna shut up. And then Aubrey O'Day, you've been mistreated so bad by Puff. That's what you say. Then why are you on MTV Crib showing off this fake ass mansion you don't own? I feel like you should have said something earlier. If it was what it was, instead of what it looks like. Because what it looks like now is that you had money back then. And you ain't got money now. So you want to call Puff out. You give real victims a bad name because you're not even saying you're a victim. And you're appearing at his court case for what exactly? What are you and Don Richard, Don Richard, what are y'all gonna say? What the fuck are y'all gonna say? After all these years that passed. You gonna speak up on how Cassie got beat up? We know this. Personally, it should have been a state case. Domestic violence, sexual assault. Yeah, because if she in there swapping diseases and got her tongue all burnt up from herpes. But, here's the thing. Here's what Tisa Tales she won't tell. Tisa Tales don't tell you the fact that Cassie never told him no. She said it on the stand. She never told him no. So what am I supposed to do with this information now? What am I supposed to believe about her now? She's a victim now, but I don't want to get on that. I'm on Puff, you know what I'm saying? This ain't no red pill channel, you know what I'm saying? I could give a fuck about a bitch. But look, Puff is not being tried for the shit that I think is fucked up. I just want to say that. This sounds like when he ran that vote or die campaign and got all them Democrats to vote for Obama, he was in good standing. But it seems like when Joe Biden got into office, you know, by that point, Puff had kind of had this idea where, like, you're going to have to sit down with us and tell us why, as a black person, we should vote for you, you know. That's a bold stance to take with these people. These people are serious about their campaigns. And I gotta sit here and allow you to just... They're not gonna allow you to have that type of philosophy and that type of ideology fucking with them like that. You gotta step line. You can't toe the line. You got to step tenfold with them. If they tell you to go this direction, that's the direction you gotta go in. You're absolutely false and out of your mind to try to argue with the political party that's paying you. That's where I think his biggest problems is coming from. I know Diageo has a lot of power, though. Them Ciroc motherfuckers is not playing. They are serious. So we not gonna front on them like that. They definitely could have set him up too. But really, I'm looking at the Democratic Party that he was sponsored with. I feel like, you know, pissing them off might not been the best move for him in the end. That's where I'm at with it. I think that's who's behind this attack, and I don't think that it would be happening if he would have just stuck with the Illuminati and did what the fuck they told him to do. I totally don't think he would be having these problems at all. You know, it don't make no sense. Why would he be even? Why is it happening now? Doesn't anybody want to know? Like, why is it happening today? You know. And he really been popping all these years. He's been doing this. And now they decided to convict him of these crimes. But he been doing this. You know, he brought a gun to the club, shot people. He held a party, went against the fire marshals, and put way too many people in that building and killed them. He basically killed them. It's basically, long story short. Because the law said it was supposed to be this amount of people, and he went above and beyond the amount of people that was allowed in that building at that time. He ignored. He made. There's other things that I'm sure he's done that I don't know about, but he overall is a scumbag individual. Now, with that being said, I don't think he trafficked no humans, but I guess we gotta wait and see what's going on in court. So far, I'm hearing sexual assault, domestic abuse, domestic violence. I'm hearing DV, I'm hearing SA. But I don't know about trafficking, gun running and stuff like that. He's got a paper trail. You can see where his money came from. You know, he got his money out the ass of his artists. You know, he just robbed him. He gave him a deal. And then he went elbows deep in their ass and took the money right immediately. So, you know, whatever worth these artists thought they had, not according to this dude. This dude said everything was his. Yeah, he's greedy and corrupt. So corrupt, in fact. If this nigga's found guilty, I don't care. If he's found innocent, I'm a little effed up about that. I'm a little effed up about if he get found innocent, because what that means to me is that, you know, the Illuminati was just giving him a warning. You know what I mean? The Illuminati was just letting him, because he's got so much power from doing all these sex rituals that he does. Yeah. Now that he can't deny. He can't deny. You got a man putting his fluids in a woman's hand so that she can walk over and smear it on your chest.
I must keep my weapon at the ready.
You can't tell me you don't know what that was. That was definitely a ritual. Shout out to the Game Spitter. He say that it's all a part of this cult that he's in called the Lima. I didn't even know that, but you know, I definitely was aware that he was part of Black Boule, so you know, it just makes sense. But he's in the upper echelon of this. Like he's big time. So I can't help but think that this was more like a humbling. Just know who you work for. But the way that they ruined his image, I don't see him getting out of it. Like, why would they allow it to get this far if they planning on just letting him go? But if he got let go, it's Illuminati. Period. It ain't got nothing to do with nothing else. It's not he was innocent. But I mean, I do think he is like innocent. I haven't seen the sex trafficking yet, so I don't know. Maybe there's going to be some testifying. Maybe there's some testimony that's coming up, and maybe they explain how he was trafficking people. Maybe he had them in a plane, you know, and he was sending them from place to place. But that's a big part of it, racketeering. You know where his money comes from. You know where his money comes from. So it's not a mystery there. It's not like we feel like he was getting the majority of his money from, you know, streaming, or yeah, you know, he was getting his money from endorsements. He was basically like a promoter. You know, they pay him to promote, or he was a glorified influencer, as some people like to call him. You know, whatever you want to call him, he was doing his thing. And his music catalog, he has a lot of hit records, and he has the rights to all of it. So I'm not confused as to why he has all this money, but apparently when you hit somebody with a racketeering charge, you're saying that this is ill-gotten gains. You're saying this is illegal blood money. Prove that. Prove that. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm just saying if it is, I want to see the actual proof. Don't just tell me that, you know, show me. I'll believe it. I'm not going to deny it if there's proof that he's been, because I mean, sure, rich people do all kind of stuff to stay on top. What would make him an exception? What would make him, you know, oh, well, he's the honest one? How? What has he shown us that he's the honest one? He's shown us that he is just a promoter. You know, he will go that far for the dollar, and that's all he's shown us. He ain't shown us that he have morals. I don't ever remember seeing anything about him. The only thing that he does is save face. So basically, when them boys is beating his ass and dissing on him. Then he wants to be the diplomatic one. But that to me looks like, well, probably behind the scenes he's getting them taken care of, which he probably was. Like, it's just it's really difficult. You know what I'm saying? It's really, really difficult when we're talking about Puff, because I don't think he's racketeering, and I don't think he's trafficking humans. However, I don't like him. You know, I think he's a bitch for what he did to all his artists. I think he's a bitch for how he treats people. I think he's a bitch for how he treats women. And, you know, I mean, thank God Cassie was with him as an abuser as opposed to other people, because, you know, that footage that we saw in the hotel, that was light work. I imagine maybe he was beating her ass worse. Shit, it's definitely possible, but it's definitely possible he was really putting, you know, some damage to her. But at the same time, that hotel footage, he was fighting like a little bitch. I mean, you know. So overall, I never thought Puff was a threat, but some people think he had people killed. So I think, well, you know, if that's what he was getting charged with, I would love to see it. But if you're telling me that he's just getting charged with then I don't know. Because I haven't seen the evidence of, but we'll see. We'll see. Week 2, they said this case is going to go for 6 weeks. And I'm like, well, okay, I see the domestic violence. And I see the SA too. That's just horrible. He's into some weird stuff. But, you know, maybe it's not him being a weirdo. Like I said, Illuminati rituals. I am way more willing to believe that because it was weird. You know what I'm saying? We all thought he was gay, but that's not what the transcripts are revealing. The transcripts are revealing that he actually, you know, does ritualistic sex stuff, and that, you know, that is comparable to that of a sex cult. You know, he has weird, predatory rituals. And it definitely seems ritualized. A ritual is something that you do, you know, often. You know, in a consistent manner. This definitely looks ritualistic in nature. Like, it just does. It looks bad. It looks really bad. But it don't look like what we thought. We thought he was, you know, a sick individual. But yeah. Go watch The Game Spitter. Go watch Casino for Life. Hell, go watch Tisa Tales. I'm telling you, she's very entertaining. She just going up there telling lies. I think she smoked meth. She strikes me as the type of person that smokes meth. And not only meth, if she's in California, she's getting that Hell's Angel shit. That shit that'll have you up for a month. That's what I think she's on. I'm just going to keep that real. She smoked. She got to, because she's out there. She's loopy. She's loopy. You know. She's very loopy. So, I mean, you know, good job for Discovery Plus, though, because when they interviewed her, yeah, they had her in a more calm state, telling lies. But man, on her channel, man, she's very entertaining, man. I'd be like, you just catch a contact off that meth just watching her. But yeah, that's all I have thought about that, you know what I'm saying, for this week. Next week, you know what I'm saying, they might come out and say Puff shot a nigga. They might say Puff, you know, R-word to somebody. Hell, they might say Puff got babies kidnapped somewhere. And I believe it, but I just ain't seen it yet. So this is not a let's defend Puff Daddy thing. I don't like this guy, but I just think if we're going to charge him, do it right. Just do it right. If we're going to charge him, do it right. Give him the right penalty, you know, because there's plenty of stuff that it looked like he had something to do with. But I don't know about what y'all saying. Because if he could say that if he can get away with this, if they can get away with charging him with this, then we're screwed. Oh, and in case you was wondering, I'm playing Assassin's Creed Shadows. In case you was wondering. I don't think you was, but in case you was, did you see that? Yeah. I'll probably give my review on this game later. It's tight. Alright. MSG, I'm out.